Radio show with host Steve-O. For the next hour, sit back and listen to expert interviews in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Listen to such educational shows on community association law, air conditioning repairs, plumbing repairs, estate planning, property damage claims law, real estate law, wealth management, personal injury law, family law, assisted living, and men's health. Now, sit back and enjoy the next hour of Ask the Experts.
And we are back. I hope you enjoyed that last segment with our great Lieutenant Governor Nunes. I hope you learned some new things. I didn't know what was going on with the school openings. You hear so many things and defunding the police but it's going to lead us right into our next guest. I don't see him up there yet, so I don't know if he's actually on yet. Our next guest is going to be Paul Labiner. There he is.
I'm here, Steve.
Hi, Paul. So
Hi, Steve.
you're following our great Lieutenant Governor Nunes was just on our show.
I heard some bits and pieces of the show, before I got on.
I was a little concerned because I don't know if you've looked at the cone today, but we are like right dab in the middle of it.
What, in terms of another tropical storm or a hurricane, huh?
Yeah. So they said it's going to be here this weekend.
Well,
anyhow,
I don't worry about it until about a day before.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Because these things change, so frequently. But it's nice to be here as always, Steve. It's always good to see you. I do hope you're feeling well.
I'm getting better. And which kind of leads me to so Paul does estate planning, and I got to tell you, you just never know, do you, Paul? You don't know. You might think you're in the greatest of health, and tomorrow that changes. And people do not plan.
No, and that's true. And one of the unfortunate parts of this recent pandemic that we've been experiencing the last 5 months or thereabouts is that people have become much more sensitized to their health and their mortality and their morbidity. Coincidentally, as a result of it, I'm getting many phone calls, from people, either new clients or existing clients, looking to, potentially update, revise, or change, and for lots of reasons. Yes, things can change on a dime. We're healthy today. We have no idea what tomorrow may bring.
One of our listeners asked us at the beginning of the show, how often should they bring all their paperwork in, whether it's a will or whatever it is? How often should it be looked at by a professional like yourself?
Yeah, Steve, that really depends. There are a multitude of different trigger points that may precipitate the necessity of making or reevaluating changes. And let me outline some of them that that I've experienced with my clients. Poor health is certainly a trigger. It's unfortunate, but when people become ill, or they're facing the possibility of surgery or a trip, the thought of their passing comes to mind, and and I'll get a phone call. But there's lots of reasons. The birth of a new child, the birth of a grandchild, the divorce of a child, the divorce of a parent, the different financial situation that people may be involved in today. For example, unfortunately, many people have lost their jobs. Many of my clients are concerned, not necessarily only for themselves, but maybe perhaps their children or grandchildren. They may not have the ability, to accumulate wealth or to maintain their lifestyle as they once anticipated, and becoming much more sensitized to leaving a legacy. So that's an issue. So changes in the Tax Act. Again, I sent you some notes
which
You know,
we're going to
we're
talk
in
about tonight.
what your show earlier, was somewhat politically inclined, and we're in a very volatile political environment. Um, we have some very significant uh, changes in income taxes and estate taxes that are likely to come into pass, regardless of the administration. That really, in my opinion, necessitates people trying to take advantage of the current change, the current laws, the current set of circumstances. Because tomorrow, with a new administration, you can guarantee that there'll be higher income and estate taxes. With the $3 trillion debt that we have currently, you can anticipate that taxes may rise or entitlements may diminish. We're in a volatile, ever changing, financial and tax and economic and political landscape. And a result of that, you have to be a little bit more sensitized. You have to, make sure that your planning is correlates and coordinates with those ever changing changes that are taking place.
Well, I tell you what, if a person hasn't learned by now how important disability is with all that's going on, I mean, I got COVID. I never in a million years would have thought, I thought I was healthy. You don't know. And I got to tell you, I've have had so many friends tell me, "Well, do you have disability?" I went, "No, I didn't even think about it." And
Mm.
people don't think about things like that, do they?
No, it's not only, the loss of income, but it's also, the medical insurance. What happens if you lose your job and as a result you lose your medical insurance? I mean, that's affecting millions upon millions of people today, nationwide. And it's sad and it's unfortunate. But, that's why, as you know, in terms of how I look at things, it's much more of a holistic approach. And what I try to address with my clients is not just the estate planning issues. It's really creating a financial fortress around your estate, creating some financial management tools, creating an opportunity to address, the changes that may occur, whether it's within your household itself, due to a divorce or poor financial situation for yourself or a family member, or it's external measures, changing in the political environment, changing in taxes, changing in the entitlements, whether it's Medicare or Social Security. I mean, these are all issues that are on the horizon, and these are all issues that are coming to the fold. So, I mean, to look at these things and to address these things on a consistent basis, I think makes some sense. The problem, as you alluded to, is that many people just don't like looking at these types of engagements because they think it's only related to their death, and that's totally contrary to what the true extensive financial blueprint will accomplish for a client. Certainly my clients.
Have you noticed people calling you about having a will done or having their will updated?
Well, of course. I mean, people, as we said a little bit earlier, people are becoming much more sensitized to their mortality, and they are looking to try to put their financial and estate planning and legal matters in place because many people have a little bit more time today than they did previously, so they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and there's just so much TV and news and walking around the block and taking your dog out for a walk that you can possibly do. So it sort of segues to other things: cleaning the closet, taking out your will, reviewing your documents, reviewing your investment portfolio, reviewing your taxes. Now's a great time, and people, and yes, people have become much more sensitized to looking at these things and trying to address these things, not only for themselves but for their loved ones as well.
What, we're close to the elections. What's going to happen if the Democrats get in?
Well,
First, I
um,
guess starting with taxes.
well, I don't have the exact crystal ball, but I can give you some intelligent uh, thoughts that are likely to take place. And that is for sure that if the Democrats do come into office or have a majority both in the Senate and Congress, and depending upon who our next president may be, we can almost be assured that our income taxes and our state taxes will rise dramatically. And it's just a different philosophy, and I don't want to get political, and I
No, but
respect both
you
Republican.
can tell people what to expect because it's going to change a lot of things.
Exactly.
And
Well,
I'm not saying
one thing
just
I can tell
bad.
you, I can tell you one thing that you can expect. People don't think along the lines of having an estate tax problem. Why? Because of the current law, there's an $11,580,000 exemption. And wow, I mean, so if the couple has $23 million, they have nothing to worry about in terms of estate taxes, and that is absolutely true. So there's a small universe of individuals that are currently fall within that threshold. The problem is twofold. Number one, under current law, that's going to change December 31st, 2025. Okay, so we're only a couple of years down the road where we go back to the old rules. If the Democrats take win and take a majority, you can almost be assured that the estate tax threshold is going to be reduced down to $3 million to $3.5 million. Now that's a tremendous, tremendous difference between $23 million and $6 million. So there's a much larger universe of potential clients that will experience that additional tax that they didn't anticipate that they were going to experience. They're also talking about the possibility of losing what we call the step up in basis.
What
Under
is
current
that?
law, great question. Okay, under current law, if you have a stock, let's take Amazon for example. Amazon has been doing phenomenal. So Amazon has appreciated very nicely, and I'm happy to say that I own some Amazon. So
Worth
I've
$1
been
trillion. They're
experiencing
worth
some
a
of that
trillion
nice
dollars.
appreciation. So I have all of this built-in gain in Amazon and as a result, I don't want to sell it. Why? Because I don't want to pay the capital gains tax. So that's a common theme. And there are different ways and strategies to mitigate that. But one of the advantages at the time of death is that when an individual dies, the recipient of that money receives that money at the current fair market value. So there is no capital gains. They get what is referred to as a step up in basis. That's a beautiful, beautiful advantage that we've enjoyed in the estate tax and income tax arena for many, many, many years. And they've talked about changing that. But in light of these change, this difficult times that we're finding ourselves, economically, these difficult times that we're finding ourselves in terms of our budgetary restraints, both federal and state, there is major talk about the elimination of that step up in basis, which means that if you did have that Amazon stock, that gain that you thought you were going to get, that you were going to eliminate, you don't at the time of death. And that capital gains tax will ultimately have to be paid by the beneficiaries. So there could be a
Wow.
capital gains tax, there could be additional income tax, there could be some additional estate tax. One of the things I graduated law school in 1979. There have been, I don't know, there's probably been about 40 plus significant changes in tax law during that period of time. One thing I can assure you, we will be in a different tax environment next year. So if that basic
We have to
premise
be.
is, if that basic premise is one that you can acknowledge and absorb, then take advantage of what we have this year. Take advantage of the opportunities that we have this year because there are many, both in the income tax realm as well as in the estate tax area. So
That's good to know.
that would be a very strong recommendation, to many individuals as it relates to why they should maybe consider a review and an update of their existing planning.
Do you do you see people pulling their money out of the stock market um, a couple days before the elections or a couple days after? Because again, I mean, it's supposed to be very tight. from what I understand, if the Democrats win, then the stock market is going to go down.
Right. I suspect I think that's the prevailing view. I'm not an investment advisor, and I don't profess to have the crystal ball in terms of what the stock market has done or will do. Personally, I'm a little bit surprised that the stock market has appreciated so
Yeah.
nicely. That was not something that I would have ever envisioned. Um, but the stock market looks at looks at things in the future. So they're 6 months to a year, in the future in terms of how they price in the value of these underlying stocks. So if we are likely to have a significant change in the administration, typically that would have a negative impact, perhaps on the stock market, certainly in the short term.
So we can assure the listeners out there that the income tax rate is going to increase. And will there be other tools that they can implement, new strategies that they can take advantage of?
Well, I think the strategies, again, because it's an evolving target. I think the strategies that need to be taken advantage of are the strategies that we have available today. And there are many opportunities. That the problem that I've found in terms of disengagement, um, more often than not, it's psychological. People are just afraid. People are afraid of losing control of their assets. People are afraid that they won't have enough if the market does in fact change. People are afraid if they do experience poor health, that they will have sufficient assets and resources to be able to pay for those medical expenses. People are afraid. Um, Again, these are based upon my experiences and my personal experiences. People are afraid that what happens as they age, age-related matters take into play. They can't be as mobile as they once were. They won't be able to take care of themselves as they once were. Their housing situation may change. So if they're living in a larger home, they may have to make some adjustments to their living arrangements. So I find that a big part of what I need to discuss with my clients are basically psychological in nature. I've been called the financial shrink on more than one occasion. And it's true. I mean, people need to, and I need to be sensitized to it because I understand it. Um, at 65 years old, I myself have become much more sensitized to these issues. When I was 20 and 30 years old, you know, we were impervious. We thought we never thought we could get hurt. We never thought we would get sick.
Yes,
And
we're
there was
invincible.
never a legitimate, there was, we were we were bulletproof. Well, I don't feel such bullet. I don't feel so bulletproof these days. I do have some
Is that how your
vulnerabilities.
clients are talking to you now, Paul, too?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Steve. What
Is
was
that how
that?
your clients are talking to you now, too?
Yeah,
Are they?
when we really get down, when I really, because the key to this process is not necessarily the legal documents themselves. And I've said this time and time again, the real benefit of crafting a financial blueprint for the benefit of a family is not so much, there are many, many qualified attorneys in Florida. You can go onto the internet and you can get a document for 1/10 of the cost that it would probably cost me to create the document for yourself. So if you're looking to just push a button and have a will, it's easy to obtain. The problem that people don't, in my opinion, truly acknowledge is the subjective considerations. Because based upon those subjective considerations, there's a plethora of different planning opportunities that can address some of those subjective considerations, fears, anxieties, and trepidations that they're actually experiencing.
Paul, give everybody your phone number if they'd like to give you a call in the morning.
Sure, I'd be delighted to. And if I could be convenient, my office is conveniently located at 5499 North Federal Highway in Boca. I'm just on Federal Highway, just north of Yamato. My telephone number is 561-998-2362. I would be delighted to chat with you at no cost, no obligation. My primary motivation is to be of service to you first and foremost, and I, more often than not, are typically financially rewarded as a result of my time and my efforts. But
And
your
this is
needs
the
and your
time to
situations
do
will
it
fix.
now. This,
And
this
this
is the
is certainly
time
the
to
time to
do
do
it
it.
now. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll be back with attorney Paul Labiner, planning attorney. He's one of the top estate planning attorneys here in South Florida. We will be right back.
The law office of Paul S. Labiner has been providing quality and cost-effective legal advice to professionals, businesses, individuals, and families throughout South Florida, New York, and New Jersey for over 3 decades. Their mission is to provide personalized service which ensures that you, your family, your business, or your assets are safe and protected. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today, 561-998-2362, and let him begin the creation of a financial blueprint in conformity with your needs, desires, and concerns. It took much effort and hard work for you to enjoy all that you have today, so it only makes sense that you implement strategies to protect and defend it. The law office of Paul S. Labiner, PA, is a reputable law office nestled in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, that is dedicated to providing you with personalized legal services that meet the specific needs of your family. Attorney Paul S. Labiner designs estate plans that ensure the most effective transfer of wealth, implement policies to mitigate income and estate taxes, and draft wills and trusts to maximize your family's wealth. Call attorney Paul S. Labiner today at 561-998-2362.
And we are back. I just got a text from another estate planning attorney who does our Dallas show, and he's listening to the show, enjoying it, and he's saying you're giving really good. Well, we know that. Um, so, what happens if the administration stays the same? Now, what are we looking at?
Well, I'm not sure that things are going to, that if things are, if we have the exact same administration as we're in now, um, and some of the tax implications that we're anticipating will increase with a different administration. Um, I'm not sure that the necessity not to plan is there, and I say that for the following reasons. Okay, number one, I don't have the crystal ball, and I wish I did. Um, um, Something has to occur. So if the estate, let's use the estate tax as a perfect example, because with a Republican administration, the estate tax is one that tends not to is an issue that people don't like to address if you're a Republican in nature. So let's say that stays the same. However, income taxes are something that may change. Social Security issues may continue to change. There was talk, most recently with the president's suggestion about continuing to maintain, the $400 unemployment tax.
Right.
Okay, and we're still kind of up in the air in terms of where we are with that, because you need the states to participate in that, and whether the states are
Right.
participating or not is something to be determined. But that was going to affect our payroll taxes, which in effect it affects our Social Security issues. So there's always, a give and take. Right now we're printing money. Right now we're throwing money into the economy, and for good cause. God bless the fact that we have the ability to be able to do these things, and we're printing money, and we have, the foreign governments, China and everybody else, that are buying our securities. So we're in a very good position to be able to, to address that. At some point in time, we can't just continue to kick the can down the road.
No, you're right.
Okay, we just can't. Okay, so for the short term, there may be some there may not be some dramatic changes, but I worry about my children. I worry about my grandchildren. I worry about the fact that we just can't continue to just print money and throw money into these things without there being some repercussions sometime in the future. And if that is going to be the case, who's going to pay for it? If it's not going to be this generation, it may be our children, it may be our grandchildren. So by looking at an approach that takes the family unit as a whole and tries to develop a cohesive financial blueprint for the benefit of a multi-generational approach, that, in my opinion, my dear friend, really has a resounding effect and really has a resounding benefit for that family at large, both in the short range as well as in the long term. And you can't do that without being expansive in your thinking process.
Hey, if they're not going to be doing this payroll tax now for a while, how's that going to affect Social Security?
Well, exactly. I mean, I forgot the actual number. The Social Security, I think, is intended to be bankrupt in, I don't know, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, so we already, based upon current circumstances, we know for a fact that we have a future problem. So we know for sure. I don't think Social Security will always be there. In my opinion, will it be there in the same to the same extent that it is now? Probably not. They'll defer the time that you can get maximum distributions from the Social Security Administration. I think much of the expense is going to fall on the generation behind us in terms of being able to continue to pay those expenses to continue to fuel the Social Security Trust Fund. So I mean, these are issues that and with Medicare goes Medicare. With Social Security goes Medicaid. The two of them go hand in hand.
Well, we are out of time. Listen, give Paul a call tomorrow at 561-998-2362. Just go. I mean, he doesn't charge you to look at your plans that you have, but this is the time. Don't wait. And you've got to give everybody your website, Paul.
Sure. You can find out a little bit more information about me and some additional information regarding some of the areas that we discussed at BocaRatonEstatePlanning.com. And if you'd like to email me, you're welcome to email me at paul@plabineresq.com or call me at 561-998-2362.
This is a wonderful estate planning attorney. Paul, thank you so much, and we will see you down the road.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Steve, stay well.
And we'll see you on Monday from 6 to 7 with more Ask the Experts. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers.